Okay, starting off Unit 7, we will be talking about dilations. So when we are dilating something, we are doing one of two things. We are either enlarging, so it's either an enlargement or a reduction. And this always happens over a given point, almost always with the origin. And this is called the center of dilation. I'm going to have you cross out that third bullet point because it is not important for us. What I do need you to remember is that dilation does produce similar figures, so they're not congruent, but they are similar. And when I'm saying they're similar figures, that means we have corresponding angles that are the same. So like if it's angle A and then angle A prime, they will have the same measurements. And all the sides will be proportional to each other. And we'll get into that in a little bit. The first thing, though, when we do a dilation is we have to determine a scale factor. And we use the letter K in the formula. And there are two scenarios. If the scale factor K is greater than 1, we are enlarging, or it's an enlargement. If K is less than 1, we have a reduction. And then the formula we use, it's on every coordinate. So we have an XY coordinate. And all we do is we multiply the scale factor to it. Okay, so let's give it a try in number 1. In number 1, we have 3 coordinates. We'll start by graphing them. First one we have is -5, 1. And that is R. Next is -3, 4 for S. And T is 2, -1. So there's our triangle. And what we're going to do, in this case, K is 2. We're literally going to multiply 2 to everything. So R was originally -5, 1. It'll be now -10, 2. S was -3, 4. So it's -6, 8. And T was originally 2, -1. So now it is 4, -2. And then, probably should change colors. If you were to graph these, you will notice that you are about 10 times bigger than your original triangle. Right, there you go. I'm going to have you guys try number 2 on your own. Again, you're going to graph the rectangle that they give you right here. And then in this case, you'll be multiplying 3 to all the coordinates to get your new rectangle. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on to number 3. So go ahead and give 2 a try. If you want me to check it, just call me over. And I'm moving on to number 9, actually. So in 9 and 10, we are doing the same thing, but now we have fractions. And they didn't give us our original coordinates. So we're going to start by listing out in number 9, for example, the coordinates for Q, R, S, and T. Q is at -1, 4. R is at 1, 2. S is at 2, -2. And T is at 0, -2. And then I'm going to be multiplying 3 halves to it. You can multiply by 3, then divide by 2, or you can change 3 halves to a decimal, which is 1.5. and multiply everything by 1.5. Either way, you're going to get the same answers. I'm going to choose to do decimals. So if I multiply everything by 1.5, Q then becomes negative 1.5, 6. Then R becomes 1.53. S becomes 3, negative 3. And T is 0, negative 3. And then go ahead and let's take a look at the graph. So let's see here, Q. There. There's R prime S. And T. And if you notice, our scale factor was bigger than 1, so it is slightly bigger. And then in number 10, we're going to have something different. Our scale factor is 3/4 or 0.75, okay? So again, we are going to start by listing our coordinates. And so I'm just going to do it right here. Actually, you guys might be trimming that spot, so do it right here. A is at negative 410. B is at 4.8. And C is at 0, negative 4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 0.75 to every number. And when I do, I get negative 3 and then 7.5. Then I get 3 and 6. And 0 and negative 3. Okay, and then we go ahead and graph this. So A is at negative 1, 2, 3, and 7.5. So that's A prime now. B prime is right there. And C prime, right above our original C. And if you notice, our scale factor was less than 1, and our new shape is now smaller than what we started with. So there's an example of a reduction. Okay, I'm going to move on to some word problems. A prime at negative 10, negative 8 is the image of A after a dilation set around the origin with a scale factor of 2. What was the coordinate of A? So remember, A prime is after a scale factor has been applied, and we apply a scale factor with multiplication. So then to go backwards, we would then divide to get our original numbers since we applied a scale factor. So A, negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5, and negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Let's try it again. P prime is the image of P after a dilation set around the origin with a scale factor of 1/3. What are the coordinates of P? So in this case, the scale factor was less than 1, so it made it smaller, which means our original will be bigger. And again, we do the opposite. The opposite of 1/3, or in this case, dividing by 3, would be to multiply by 3. So this is where I take my coordinate, and then I do the opposite of the scale factor. P was originally negative 6/15. And let's try one more. Z prime is at 3/8, and that's after the dilation with a scale factor of 3/2. What are the coordinates of Z? So again, 3/2 is 1.5, which means our original is going to be bigger. So let's see here, Z. So, I'm sorry, original's not going to be bigger. Original's going to be smaller because we had a scale factor of 1/2. I apologize for that. So again, I'm going to take 3 and 8, this is just like number 11, and divide by 1.5. That'll get me 3 divided by 1.5, which is 2, and 8 divided by 1.5, and it will get you a decimal, is 4, 6 repeating, so I'm just going to say 4.7. Okay. And then H prime, number 14, is 1.5 negative 4, and we had a scale factor of 1/2 or of 0.5, which means our original was bigger. So I do need to kind of copy what I did in number 12 and multiply. So I should get 3 and negative 8. Because with that 1/3, in number 12 we multiplied by 3. In this in 14 it was 1/2. We would multiply by 2. Okay. Last but not least, identifying scale factor. When doing this, you just need to focus on one letter. So for example, in number 15, I'm going to focus on letter, let's do F. And so I'm just going to zoom, and I'm going to look at our original F is at -6, -3, and our F prime ended at -2 and 1. So first, I'm going to look at, did it get bigger or did it get smaller? And the shape did go from big to small, so I do know I'm going to have a fraction. So I'm going to start by putting my 1 over the fraction bar. And then I'm just going to divide x with x, y with y. So -6 divided by -2 is 3. And then -3 divided by 1 is also, well, it should be -3. But we keep that positive. So I do have a 1/3. Oh my lord, why are words so hard? Sorry, that was -1. A 1/3 scale factor. Let's try it one more time. In number 16, let's do x. Why not? Again, it doesn't matter which letter you use as long as you use the same prime. So x itself was at 2, 0, and x prime ended at 8, 0. So I look at the picture at first. I went from a small trapezoid to a big trapezoid. So I know I'm going to have a number bigger than 1. And then in this case, I'm going to divide the 8 by 2 and the 0 by 0. And I would get 4. So my scale factor in this case was just 4 because I know it has to be something bigger than 1 since my shape got bigger. And that is all to it on dilation notes. Make sure you get this on page 19 of your notebook, and then come up to the front and make sure you get your assignment.